On June 3rd, 2010, the City Council of Cincinnati passed a policy which specifically targets people who are poor and people who are homeless. It targets them by taking their constitutional rights away. This policy, passed on June 3rd, would require our shelters to discourage people from panhandling, something that is legal. It would also require shelters to have consequences for panhandling. This is a clear violation of both the First Amendment of our Constitution that protects free speech, and this is a violation of our 14th Amendment, which grants citizens the right to due process. The fact is that this is, contrary to what some council members are saying, this has nothing to do with protecting citizens. We already have a law against aggressive panhandling. Aggressive panhandling, most of it is what we all know is wrong anyway, stalking somebody. This new law is purely political. On June 3rd, City Council gave the responsibility of monitoring something known as minimum standards for emergency shelters to the Continuum Care for the Homeless. For 20 years, the Coalition for the Homeless has completed and monitored and maintained these standards with 2 seats on every decision by the city. And now they've given it to an organization that they pay, they employ, and they tell what to do. So effectively, that allows the city, any politician at any time, greater ability to insert his or her own political whim. And that has already happened. This panhandling law is purely political. It is the opposite of protecting citizens. It takes our rights away. Shelters are in support of the coalition. We are simply a group of people headed in the wrong direction. We are greatly opposed to this breach on our citizens' rights. And further, we don't believe this will help anybody. You know, the concept that somehow this will help people get their lives back together or anything like this, it is purely wrong. The fact is that people panhandle because they have some sort of need, and we have outreach workers at the ground level every day working to meet those needs. And that's how we do it, not by punishing people for something that is simply not wrong. Furthermore, council members know, if they pay attention, they know that there are not numerous people in the downtown area panhandling on a regular basis. We know that there are small amounts of people doing this. What they have done is to create fear among citizens, create a problem, and then they're coming in with the supposed solution. And the solution is worse than the problem they created. The solution specifically breaches the Constitution. This would, if anybody knows kind of how shelters run, really the only consequence of a shelter is you get kicked out. This would potentially kick people out of where they sleep at night for doing something that is not illegal, for following the Constitution. We will not stand for this war on the poor. We will not stand for taking away citizens' rights. This is not, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're left-wing, if you're right-wing, we all believe in protecting our rights. In this instance, our city government is attempting to control citizens' rights, to take them away, and to punish us for invoking our rights. We have to stand up. Because of this, today, June 16th, we have filed suit against the city of Cincinnati. We have been joined as a plaintiff by Grace Place Catholic Worker House. Grace Place is an organization who takes part in minimum standards, but does not believe in this new policy and will not enforce it. And we have also been joined by a plaintiff named Paul Eggleston. Paul is a person who is homeless. He stays at a local shelter, and he panhandles. And he does not want the city to take his rights away because he is a citizen. So we will file suit. We are precedented to win, and we will see this through to the end.
What are the potential things that could happen to you if you accept someone who were panhandling and not discipline them? What could happen to you guys?
The power in this policy is found in what it controls. The fact is that if a shelter said, you know what, we don't agree with this, we won't enforce this policy, they would lose their city funding, and their housing and urban development funding. That's practically all of the public dollars they receive. They'd have to shut down. A shelter literally could be forced to shut down for not breaking the Constitution. We all should call that into question. How can we shut down our private entities when they simply want to uphold the Constitution? Any other questions?
This is essentially just a recommendation from the city manager's office, correct? The city council's recommendation. So is this premature? Is this filing premature?
This filing is certainly not premature. We have a strong case. The fact is the city council passed a policy on June 3rd that instructs administration to force shelters to have a policy that ends panhandling. This is not premature. They are using a shelter's dollars as leverage to force them to do this. There will be consequences to shelters if they don't follow it. This is a policy city council is saying that they are okay with breaking the Constitution.
What would you like to see the city spend its time and resources on instead of something like this?
The fact is that we have no documentation to show that people who panhandle are violent. We don't have any stories to back it up. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We have seen recently, and we all know it, we've seen a recent increase in hate crimes against people who are homeless. And the fact is that a city government and council members that represent that government, when they criminalize people who are homeless and simply asking for help, that gives fuel to the fire for somebody to go out and beat people. And that is true. We need to spend our time on real crime. We need to spend our time on the $50 million deficit. We need to spend our time on creating affordable housing. We need to spend our time on compassion. We need to spend our time where it is justly due, and criminalizing something that is simply protected by the Constitution is not where we need to spend our time. This is not conservative. This is not liberal. This is simply right. This is justice.
An attorney representing Paul Eggleston, the Greater Cincinnati Coalition for the Homeless, and Greens Place Catholic Worker House, the plaintiffs in a lawsuit that was filed today against the city of Cincinnati. This is the second time.
So why did you want to be a part of this lawsuit?
Because it's unconstitutional to an oppressed people, the homeless.
What do you want the people at home to know about you and the other people who are out on the street and why you're there?
Any circumstance can make one homeless, but dealing with the circumstance and getting out of homelessness is left up to the shelters and people that's paid to help you. And I think that should be focused on a little more. That people should take more time to focus on the solution than creating a different problem.
Yeah. As you understand it, what would this law do and how would it affect you?
It would merely protect my constitutional right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It would also allow people to see us different as human beings. The average American is only about 2 paychecks away from being homeless.
So what do you hope will be the solution of this lawsuit?
Hopefully, panhandling policy will be banned, and people will take a better look at helping the homeless people, addressing their true needs, and trying to get them back into the workforce and the mainstream of society.
Excellent. Well spoken.
Thank you.
Very good.